finna get induced.
Man, come on, man, you did not
He
tell
knew
me
the
that.
hospital. He messaged me back and said, all right. So hold
You
on.
can tell me from Facebook, you can call my telephone.
Mr. Taylor, you are his father.
And I'm gonna keep taking care of. And at the end of the day, that is my grandson. I'm still gonna take care of. I bet I can.
This is about the most ignorant stuff I done seen in here in a long time. Sit down.
Ms. Coward is desperate to keep her relationship with Mr. James, but first, she has to prove to him that he's the father of her son. But Mr. James says that Ms. Coward has cheated on him in the past, and there's absolutely no way he can trust her. I wonder why.
Ms. Coward, you claim you're here today to determine the paternity of your 9-month-old son in an effort to save your relationship with his alleged father, Mr. James.
Yes, Judge.
Well, this looks like a pretty laid-back couple, right? No drama, no shenanigans, just two adults who aren't sure of a kid's paternity, right? Well, this case is a lot more complicated than it seems.
All right, and so, Ms. Coward, you met Mr. James, you started a relationship.
Yes. Yes.
Were you seeing each other exclusively, or how was this a committed relationship?
In a sexual relationship, but quickly it turned into, we started off a relationship.
These two lovebirds are already starting to show their cracks. Starting a sexual relationship and transitioning to a committed relationship seems kind of weird if you ask me. And what's up with Mr. James telling Ms. Coward that she was pregnant before she knew? Like, bro, are you psychic? Or is there something you haven't told us?
Well, I have evidence that I keep on the calendar basically about her cycle and from what I've done, so I know basically when I can and when I cannot, be intimate with her.
Whoa, slow down there, buddy. Marking every time you get some action on a calendar is wild. Mr. James just took keeping score to a whole new level. But hey, as crazy as that may be, that naughty little calendar might come in handy.
Okay, do you have that evidence with you?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Jerome? So, Mr. James, how long have you been keeping a calendar like this?
Since I've been about 25, 26 years old.
25 or 26?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Mr. James just went from 0 to 100. The naughty calendar was bad enough, but adding menstrual cycles to the mix, damn, that's some next level OCD. And for every woman he slept with. I mean, someone should either give this man a medal or arrest him.
In your calendar, you have the dates you were intimate with women, monthly cycles.
Yes, ma'am, I do. Yes, ma'am, I do.
And also a record of their why.
At one point in my life, so if this woman was on her cycle, I was a womanizer.
I don't know if that explanation made things better or worse. Hell, I almost forgot there's a case going on, thanks to Mr. James and his insane record-keeping habit. The fact that he started making calendars to keep track of the women he could mess around with is both brilliant and cynical at the same time.
Friday, December 28th, 2012. That's you have an abbreviation, meaning that the monthly cycle began.
Yes, ma'am.
The calendar is real, folks. And Judge Lake is as surprised as we are that Mr. James was keeping track of Ms. Coward's cycles. The case is finally starting to get back on track, and if Mr. James is right, it could be the most clear-cut case we've ever seen on paternity court.
And so how did your calendar play a role? Is this what made you doubtful as you went back through your notes? Once you found out she was pregnant,
well,
you noticed there were some issues?
Yes.
This guy brought receipts. Mr. James is pretty confident that both due dates are wrong. And can you blame him? The guy keeps calendars for Christ's sakes. The evidence is quickly stacking up against Ms. Coward, and it looks like Mr. James isn't done yet.
Now, do you have any other evidence that would...
Yes, ma'am, I do. I have the calendar of when we slept together in December. We slept together again after she came off her menstrual cycle.
He didn't put all the dates on his calendar.
I put all the dates on there.
You didn't.
Surprise, surprise, more calendars. Come on, this is getting ridiculous. Ms. Coward hasn't even got one word out yet, and Mr. James is already on his third calendar of the day. If the stakes weren't so high, the courtroom would probably be applauding his efforts.
But we did not actually have any, and she claims that we had birthday sex, which is my birthday, which is in January. But she was upset from Christmas, and I know it for a fact because we fell out around Christmas time after the kids got their presents. I didn't get mine. We actually separated at that time.
So Ms. Cowart's defense is that they had birthday sex? I don't see how that stacks up against Mr. James's super detailed calendar. But I'm not counting her out just yet. We've seen way crazier endings on this show.
Miss Cowart, were you intimate with Mr. James on his birthday?
Not his actual birth date. On the 4th of January, we were intimate.
That week.
All right. Were you intimate with any other man during that time?
No, ma'am.
Of course, I kind of beg to differ. She was partying.
He feels like that.
Judge Lake is having too much fun with this one, but hey, at least Ms. Cowart's starting to make some good points. Her birthday sex and grocery store isn't too bad, but she's going to need a lot more firepower if she's going to bring down Mr. James.
A calendar?
No, ma'am, I did not. I put my customers on the calendar.
Mr. James?
I have no recollection of that, but
Just
I'm
like
the
he
one
had-
that keeps the calendar.
He has no
on file.
recollection.
You didn't
the
put
He
a
kinda
grocery
forgets.
store on your... You slipping now.
Well, the grocery store is not
You
that
slipping,
important.
you
more
gotta
so.
add that in.
What's not more important than,
I'm just
sexual...
teasing.
Now that was insightful. Messing around with someone who's already in a relationship is bad enough, but starting a relationship with that person, come on, Mr. James, you should have known better. Old habits die hard.
I'm a single black man that had his own apartment, had his own business, taken care of and raising, and that's what intrigued her, and so she left him alone. After 8 years, so her being as arrogant as she is, after a while of us being together,
I feel for Mr. James, but makes a really good point. How would you expect commitment from someone who broke off their relationship just to mess around with you? Having unprotected sex with your ex, though, sorry, Ms. Cowart, I'll have to side with Mr. James here. That's a no-no.
So when Taj was born, who was at the hospital? Anybody there?
Mr. James was at the hospital. He was there the whole time.
Did you sign the birth certificate?
Yes.
actually I didn't. I don't know how my name got on the birth
He
certificate.
signed the birth
but it's
certificate.
on-
I have evidence that he signed the birth certificate.
Oh, you were doing so well, Mr. James. Why in the world would you sign the birth certificate if you were sure you're not the father? And being there for the birth was really supportive. But why were you there if the kid isn't yours?
Mr. James, what happens if Taj is not your biological child?
I'll be hurt and devastated, but if he is my child, I would like to go ahead and marry her. If he's not, then that would not happen.
After all that, I feel like this one's pretty much a coin flip, y'all. And after Judge Lake schools the couple on trust, the only thing that can bring Mr. James and Ms. Cowart back together is the DNA test result. Do your thing, Judge Lake.
Mr. James, you are the father.
Thank you. I told you.
I see the tears in your eyes, Mr. James. It feels good to know, right?
Yes, it does, Your Honor.
I just hope this makes our relationship better.
Ms. Hilburn got caught up in a love triangle, but love isn't all she got from it. Now, she has a 10-month-old daughter, Saria, and a man who wants nothing to do with her. Mr. Barnes, on the other hand, claims that Ms. Hilburn cheated on him on Valentine's Day, and after giving her a second chance, she went right back to the streets.
Ms. Hilburn, you admit that you've been caught up in a love triangle.
Yes,
For
Your
the
Honor.
past 3 years, which you say resulted in the birth of your 10-month-old daughter, Saray. But you're here to prove she is the defendant's baby.
Yes, Your Honor.
There's a lot to unpack here, but cheating on Valentine's Day? Geez, Ms. Hilburn. If that's what you're up to on Valentine's Day, what do you do on random Tuesdays? And going back to the guy she cheated with after Mr. Barnes taking her back is just diabolical.
Mr. Barnes, what kind of connection have you developed with this child?
I was there for appointments. It's a father-daughter relationship. I was there from start to finish. I got there before she did to the hospital. Ultrasounds, I was there when she was born.
Props to Mr. Barnes for being there for the kid. He's a better man than most for that. But how in the world is he so casual about Ms. Hilburn being legally married to another man? And how does Ms. Hilburn find the time to juggle so many relationships?
So, Ms. Hilburn, you've been caught in a love triangle.
Yes, Your Honor.
Explain to me, what is going on?
He was friends with him, and we developed a relationship and started sleeping together, and then we started to have issues. I met Mr. Barnes through an ex of mine.
Yep, that's pretty much the definition of a love triangle. But honestly, it's more like a square at this point. With a roster that big, it's no surprise that Ms. Hilburn isn't sure who the father of her child is.
Mr. Barnes, during the time this was going on, did you have any idea she was sleeping with someone else?
No, Your Honor, it was always done while I was at work, so I had no idea. So the night says she's going to her friends. Okay, fine, go ahead.
Really, Mr. Barnes? Really? I mean, we already know that Ms. Hilburn can't be trusted around any adult male. But come on, Mr. Barnes. Living in the same house as your girlfriend and the person she's cheating on you with, you might as well throw your relationship off a cliff.
You said all of you were living together?
Yes, ma'am.
Your girlfriend, you're living with, and she cheated on you with the man.
No, we were not together at the time. So if she...
Were you still sleeping with her?
Yes, ma'am.
Exactly. How did she pull it off? That must have been one crazy living situation. So how did it even work? Did Ms. Hilburn keep a calendar to track which one of her 2 boy toys she was going to spend time with? Or did Mr. Barnes and the other guy make appointments? Who knows? Maybe they just called dibs.
Some of the time they did?
Yes, Mr.
We had
Barnes
no idea of each other.
was dumb
Until
enough
2
to
months
believe my lie.
after Saray was born, that's when
She just
I
said
was
you were
informed.
dumb enough to believe her lie.
If I would have known at that point in time that there was another gentleman...
Okay, what the hell just happened? The audience should have paid premium tickets to be in that courtroom because Ms. Hilburn was putting on a show. I don't know what's more shocking, the fact that these two are still humping it out, or the fact that Ms. Hilburn is pregnant again and surprise, surprise, she doesn't know who the dad is.
So you find out you're pregnant
Yes.
with Saray. Who do you tell first?
I told Mr. Barnes first. So I took the paper to him and showed that I was pregnant, and he was happy because he wanted to be a father.
Just when I thought Ms. Hilburn was done shocking the courtroom, there she goes again. Who lies multiple times about being pregnant when they actually aren't? Ms. Hilburn, that's who. Again, how is Mr. Barnes still hanging on to this relationship? Oh, and if you're wondering whether Mr. Barnes knew Saria might not be his, well...
I did tell him before the baby was born that there was a chance that she could not be his.
You told me 2 months after Saray was born.
I told you
That's
2
when
months before
most of
Saray
the
was
problems
born.
between you and I started dealing with that gorgeous girl right there. I love that girl.
You nodded affirmatively. He does love her, right?
Yeah.
Ms. Hilburn clearly has some issues that she needs to work through if she wants to keep her relationship. Holding that kind of information until 2 months after the baby is born is some next-level deceit. And to make matters worse, Mr. Barnes clearly loves Saria.
So as you're going through the birth, and what's going on with the other guy? He just shows up for the sex, not for the responsibility?
Yeah, and he only tries to be the dad to try to get to Mr. Barnes.
Now that's just dumb. Ms. Hilburn needs to get her priorities straight because at this rate, she's not only ruining her life, she's ruining Saria's life too. Putting that much effort into a guy who wants nothing to do with Saria and playing Mr. Barnes is just criminal.
You definitely want to be the father.
Yes, I do.
And you truly want him to be because this other gentleman, you have no faith in him.
I do not.
Why are you with him then? If you got one guy that truly loves you and wants to step up to the plate, that's what I don't understand about a love triangle, Jerome.
We can go ahead and add delusional to Ms. Hilburn's long list of boo-boos, and they'll need a lot more than just Band-Aids to fix. And it's nice to see that Mr. Barnes has a girlfriend too. Good for you, buddy. You can't just let Ms. Hilburn have all the fun now, can you?
So, Mr. Barnes, you got a girlfriend.
Yes, I do.
Does she know about this relationship?
She suspects, but when you don't see your girlfriend for 7 months, you don't see her, what else are you supposed to do?
Did you catch all that? 'Cause I sure didn't. This might be the single most eventful episode of Paternity Court I've ever seen. I couldn't guess the outcome of this case with a gun to my head, but it's a good thing I don't have to. The DNA test results are in, and man, you might want to sit down for this one.
Mr. Barnes, you are not Saray's father. I know that wasn't the news you wanted.
No.
And as much as I believe and would bet my bottom dollar, Miss Hilburn, that you have orchestrated a lot of this mess.
Ms. Ellison is a hot mess. She admits to cheating on her boyfriend with Mr. Jenkins and getting pregnant by him. But ever since she gave birth to her daughter, Olivia, Mr. Jenkins hasn't done a thing for his alleged child.
Ms. Ellison, you admit to cheating on your boyfriend with the defendant and now you say he's done nothing for your baby
baby, and you are here with your mother to demand he is your daughter Olivia's biological father.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Ellison's mom is right next to her on the stand, and if I've learned anything from watching this show for years, moms always bring the heat. Mr. Jenkins doesn't look fazed at all. That type of confidence doesn't come easy, though. He's either done this before or he has some juicy evidence up his sleeve.
Mr. Jenkins, I'll start with you. How do you know you're not the father of Miss Ellison's child?
Ellison, 10 months into our relationship, she made it known that she still was in a relationship with her boyfriend.
Geez, Ms. Ellison, what have you been putting this man through? I don't know if he's telling the truth or not, but listening to him speak, Mr. Jenkins sounds like he's gotten used to seeing Ms. Jenkins with random guys.
So wait, Mr. Jenkins, it's your contention she admitted to you she was with other guys?
Yes, Your Honor.
Your Honor, he knew I had another boyfriend. He made me promises that he couldn't keep, and he said he would show me a better life.
Is it just me, or does Ms. Ellison have no remorse for what she just did? We're here because of you, Missy, and you might have normalized having a boyfriend and a side piece at the same time, but most of us haven't. She insists she was just messing around with 2 guys, but Mr. Jenkins begs to differ.
So you slept with him?
Yes, Your Honor.
No protection?
Yes, Your Honor.
But you say, Mr. Jenkins, there were other guys too?
Yes, ma'am.
But also still sleeping with your boyfriend?
Multiple guys, Your Honor.
How do you know there were multiple?
I seen them.
Your Honor, that is a lie.
Multiple, many.
Clearly, one of them is lying out of their teeth, and boy oh boy, I can't wait to find out who. Good thing is Mr. Jenkins and Ms. Ellison can play coy all they want, but you know what never lies? Those sweet, sweet DNA test results.
This time, did you think you two were in a relationship? You were boyfriend and girlfriend?
No, ma'am, no, Your Honor. She was in a relationship that she wasn't comfortable with and she was gonna break it off. What I explained to Ms. Ellison that, okay, well,
So much for your plan. Come on, Mr. Jenkins, that's middle school level thinking. It doesn't matter what your plan is. When a man and a woman mess around without protection, guess what? They make babies.
Did you tell both Mr. Jenkins and your boyfriend that you were pregnant when you found out?
The same exact day, yes,
You did?
Your Honor, yes. He did not allow me to talk to him and inform him on anything.
Well, that's got to suck. I feel for Ms. Ellison, but something still feels off here. Like, is she saying Mr. Jenkins is the dad because she's sure, or is it because the other guy she was dealing with took off? We're gonna need some answers, Ms. Ellison.
Oh, so you saying when you were sleeping with Mr. Jenkins, you didn't have any contact with your boyfriend?
After I found out that I was pregnant, he cut everything off.
Oh, after you found out you were pregnant?
Yes, Your
Okay,
Honor.
so while you were pregnant, who went with you to doctor's appointment?
I did. My mama.
Well, you know what they say, nobody can really love you the way your mom does. Props to Ma Ellison for sticking by her daughter. I don't know about you, but it feels like Ms. Ellison is winning over both the judge and the audience. Mr. Jenkins had better start dropping some solid points soon.
He messaged me back and said, all right.
So hold
you
on.
can tell me from
Does
Facebook, you can call my
anybody
telephone.
Yes,
Man, I got evidence right here, Your Honor.
He kind of went on a rant there, but finally we've got some evidence. Well, at least I think we've got some evidence. With these two, there's no telling what's on that sheet of paper. Hell, it might just be a bunch of stick figures and some text saying many guys.
What is that evidence you're holding?
I got a court document right here, Your
Ron, will
Honor,
you pass
where
that
it
to
says
me,
I'm
please?
supposed to go to court for a baby that could be somebody else for child support.
This is a court order for a child support hearing.
Ooh, Mr. Jenkins just dropped a bomb. The tables are turning faster than a New York minute out here. But honestly, why would Ms. Ellison completely disregard the fact that her ex could be Olivia's father?
Placed Mr. Jenkins on child support.
Yes, Your Honor.
You just met me, why ain't put him?
Are you certain he's the child's father?
I didn't have sex with my ex-boyfriend until a week after my ovulation week.
Well, hopefully Ms. Ellison gets it now. She just can't be certain that Mr. Jenkins is the father if she was still sleeping with her ex at the same time.
Because you understand this man has been ordered to appear in court, likely will be held responsible for child support.
Yes, Your Honor.
And the truth is, paternity has never been established.
No, Your Honor.
There's a lot riding on these results.
And just like that, Ms. Ellison is the bad guy. I'm on Judge Lake's side now, because sending a man who you think may be your child's father to jail is diabolical.
Has he been involved?
No.
Helped at all?
No.
Now that Olivia's here.
Yeah, you bought this outfit.
Hold on.
This what you bought. This what you brought to the baby shower.
I ain't
You
bought
took
the
her to
child.
3?
Hold on, I said, Miss Edison, you ain't had no baby.
Thanks for chiming in, Grandma Ellison. She's been so quiet I almost forgot she was here. And the baby clothes is evidence, man. She'd been waiting for that question all day. It's also pretty evident that Grandma and Mr. Jenkins do not see eye to eye. Let's see what else Grandma Ellison has to say.
They were in a relationship. He did not want her talking to the other person.
Okay, so she
And at
cut
the
him
same
off.
time, I was trying to tell her, you know, they both could potentially be the father. You need to keep him involved.
Oh man, how do the tables keep turning like this? We've been going hard on Ms. Ellison for some time, but Mr. Jenkins is no saint. I'll be honest, he'd be getting much more flack for doing that to a pregnant woman if he wasn't so damn funny. I can't help but laugh every time he opens his mouth.
Mr. Jenkins, it sounds to me like at some point this did turn into a relationship.
For a year and 3 months.
A
Even
year and
after
3
my
months.
baby was born, we were still together.
Man, we were cool.
We were still together, Your Honor.
Talk about misplaced love. If I was Ms. Ellison, I'd be mad as hell right now. Because what in the world is we were cool? Sorry to say, but Ms. Ellison might have jumped the gun too quickly with this one. Mr. Jenkins clearly wants nothing to do with her.
So
Okay, but
you
what happened?
basically left your boyfriend
Yes.
because you wanted to be with Mr. Jenkins.
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you put him on child support now? And I just have to say this, kind of to bring him back, to rope him in, to make him have to be connected to the child because you really wanted to be with him?
Now that was surprising. It's sad to see her cry, but it still doesn't make sense to me why Ms. Ellison didn't bring her ex to court. If the ex has already built a relationship with little Olivia, he's already a way better option than Mr. Jenkins, right?
Does she look like one man or the other? We know looks can be deceiving. It's a natural instinct in all of us to see if we can just see any similarities, either of the two men.
More of Nathaniel, yes.
More of Mr. Jenkins?
Yes.
At this point, everyone knows that this is the worst offense in the history of paternity court. Physical similarities don't mean squat when it comes to paternity, so Mr. Jenkins might have been fine if he just kept his mouth shut. But claiming Olivia, wow, who would have thought? The only question now is, was he right?
Mr. Jenkins, you are her father. Miss Ellison, are your tears of relief because you finally know? Are you crying because Mr. Jenkins is your child's father?
I just hurt, Your Honor.
You feel hurt.